It's 3 o'clock, and I will call this November 3rd meeting of the Chelmsford Select Board to order. Would you please join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Paul, it's my understanding you want to continue this in open session. Is that still the case?
Yes.
Okay. So just for the record, the participants include Manager Cohen, Counsel to the Select Board Joseph Fair, and we have all 5 Select Board members here with Mark Carrata joining us remotely. So when we last left this meeting, we said we were going to reconvene again today after giving George and Ken some time to look at the details behind where their concerns were and revisit whether we were ready to continue talking about it or not, or where you guys stood today. So,
Okay. I mean, I thought a bit more about what was discussed at the very end of the last meeting, where we discussed waiting for the MOU results to come out, that hearing. And I think it's probably prudent to do this all at once instead of piecemeal. So that was my thoughts today, as we just put on hold until the second case is ruled.
okay. George?
I concur with Ken. I have the same opinion. And I think we have a meeting Monday night or something too, that maybe some other additional, whatever, information or whatever discussed. So.
Mark, your thoughts on that?
Yes, I think last meeting that we had on this, I expressed my opinion that was a good way to go as well. That was based on, I believe it was Clerk Dixon's recommendation.
Pat?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I thought that's what we kind of talked about, and then it kind of jumped back into setting up another meeting, so it was kind of a little confusing there at the end.
Well, the question was brought up, how much time do you need? And
Yeah. How much time it would take, yeah.
well, and also the question was brought up to Ken and George as to whether they felt they would be ready to keep talking about it or whether we should consider postponing. So I think that's why we called this meeting,
Okay.
to recalibrate on that. Paul, is there anything you'd like to say?
Well, I prefer you just dismiss the matter, quite frankly. I mean, you're asking my opinion. It's
No,
not
I'm
my-
just
it's not my
giving you the opportunity to say
No,
something.
I mean,
so.
the record shows the town sought to have the 2 hearings consolidated. That was opposed by the union. Then the Department of Labor Relations ruled to conduct them as 2 separate hearings. Like I said, we don't know when or what will come out of the second hearing. I guess it's within the board's purview of how it wishes to handle this matter. So again, I've certainly made it clear my position on this current decision, and we'll see when it arrives what happens with the next hearing. But certainly my preference would be to dispense with this matter. But again, that's out of my hands.
Okay. If the majority of the board feels that they'd rather wait for the second hearing to play out to look at the total information, I'm personally okay with that as well. Joe, do you have any thoughts? Is there a downside to that?
No, I mean, just obviously this process just stays open at this point in time. I mean, that's, if the board's comfortable with that and feels that the second decision might further, I guess, inform them about, I guess, both matters, depending upon, when that decision comes out. I think that's certainly a reasonable approach for the board to take.
Okay.
But they're independent of each other, right? Subject matter of the second hearing is independent of this first hearing. And which is why I think they were conducted as separate hearings, so. I don't know, if, it just seems, as, there's two ways to one could look at this. One is,
They,
They
were-
this is difficult to go through. Okay, and it's diverting my time, it's diverting your time, it's diverting resources of the town, and now it lingers. And the uncertainty just lingers. So now we move forward for an uncertain future with an undetermined outcome. If that's the case, so be it. I guess the question then becomes, well, could you link this to another matter pertaining to the board? It's, again, I just, as you can just tell, I'm a bit frustrated. It's been 2 months since this decision has been issued. The matter has been resolved by town meeting. I think it's been clear from the discussions we've had over the last 2 meetings and from the decision and such, my intent and my actions and the lack of guidance and direction and policy from JLMC and such, and it just seems as this, we're just now going to continue for an indefinite period of time for a board that doesn't need cause. I mean, it's not like you need a determination of cause or just cause to terminate my employment. So I guess I just, like you said, I wasn't expecting this outcome today. I guess I'm just a little concerned about, the uncertainty going forward.
First of all, Paul, I think at the last meeting, from what I heard, no one was suggesting termination based on this. I mean, that's not what I heard. So I'm not sure where that came from. But you're right. The DLR treated these as 2 separate cases. The circumstance behind that was that information came to light when the first case was already along because of the error in the public records release that caused the second case to be filed. And at that point, for whatever reason, the current hearing officer said, no, I don't want to fold this in. I want to treat it as 2. But in the big picture of things, they're all related. They're both related to the same issue. And I think that's what I'm hearing from the other board members, is that we're dealing with this at the macro level. So let's just get the facts from both and do this once and just look at it then, depending on what happens with the facts of both. And I think that's all the board is saying.
But the first hearing pertained to an arbitration process in terms of the ex parte communication amongst the management representative, Andrew Flanagan, town council Mark Terry, and mine. The second hearing, which we've not awaiting the decision on, doesn't pertain to that arbitration hearing. That has to do with the memorandum of agreement that I presented to the select board much prior to that, and the board's actions at that time. And if there is an adverse ruling on that on that matter, it's not going to town meeting. The matter has been resolved in terms of the police superior officer's contract for that period. So they're distinct actions, and both distinct in terms of their scope, also distinct in terms of their period of time. But again, this is outside of my purview. I just want to explain to the board that they may be related because they all pertain to the police superior officer's contract negotiations and their filing of multiple complaints with the JLMC and the DOR some of which were, in the first case, upheld, and some of which weren't, and we don't know what to expect from the outcome in the second case, but they're distinct matters, and, like I said, it is what it is at this point, but like I said, I just think that it's just creating a continued indefinite pause. As you noted it wasn't a significant breach if there was inactions on my part. But yet now, I guess, where does it go going forward? So if there's two insignificant breaches, does that add up to one significant breach? I mean, what is the end game here, I guess, is what I'm trying to figure out. As you stated, the last
Paul,
meeting.
I don't think anybody's trying to play a game. I think that
Well, no,
people
it's
want to
my
be
career that
totally
we're dealing
informed.
with.
I understand, but you're asking what the end game is.
Right. What is the end outcome? Because one can look at it in one of two ways. Okay? Either the board doesn't find sufficient evidence or determination to which to hold a disciplinary hearing at this time, and therefore let's wait to the second hearing, and then maybe we'll have enough to justify a hearing. I mean, that's what I'm saying. What is the end desired result? And I guess my question would be is, if there is going to be a disciplinary hearing, what information or outcome are you seeking that the board doesn't already know regarding this first case? Because I think we've exhausted the discussion in terms of what transpired. I'm just sort of at a loss in terms of trying to determine what the board is seeking, and therefore what it would seek to by continuing this matter towards another arbitration DLR decision. I'm sorry, not arbitration, another DLR decision. Like, that's what I'm saying. That's when I say, what's
Paul,
the...
I'm going to go around the table
Okay.
again, but I think there were two pieces of it the last time that when we broke last time from the last meeting. I think there were two pieces to it. One was for the board members that still wanted to consider a disciplinary hearing. They wanted time to go through the transcripts and the data, and the question came up, is 2 weeks enough? And then in parallel with that, the suggestion was brought up, should we just wait till both rulings come out so that we can just be informed on the totality of it and make a decision based on the totality of it? I don't think there's an end game or agenda. I think it's a question of, one, how long does it take you to gather the information that you want to either say, yes, I would still like the board to consider a hearing, or no, I've decided not to. Because I don't want to rush anybody into a disciplinary hearing, and nor do I want to rush into dismissing it if people don't feel like they've had the time to look thoroughly at it either way. So that's kind of where I thought the last discussion was, and that if we were to just wait until the second decision was made, then we have the totality of the information around the issue, and that would give those who want to continue looking at the data a little more time to do that, rather than us continuing to pick dates and coming back together and saying, okay, where are we at? So I think the idea was, yes, we don't want to keep dragging this on, but and a couple board members, or at least one, said, I don't want to do this twice either, depending what happens with that second one. So that's how I heard it. And I'd just like to go around again to see if what you've said changes anything from anyone's perspective. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. I'll go in the same order. Ken?
I mean, so obviously I was the one who was leaning more towards disciplinary hearing and said, I was going to speak with Joe and get my ducks in a row, but then at the last minute, the conversation turned to, waiting till the second one comes out, and I think I said, yeah, then we wouldn't have to go through this process twice. So I did not follow up with Joe and prepare anything today as far as more details. I have, obviously, a skeleton outline, but I didn't go over it with Joe or figure out exactly the wording for a motion. So I was prepared today just to extend this and get all the information from the MOU. I mean, I know Paul's saying they're two separate issues, but they did try to roll it into one. So, if you thought you could roll it in one, I don't know why now we're arguing how it's two separate issues, but that being aside, that's where I'm at today, is just to get the MOU decision out and then just do this once, go through it once. If there's not enough evidence there, it's all put to bed and we're done.
Feel the same way. Exactly.
Mark, where are you at now?
I'm fine with proceeding in that manner. I do understand the argument that if this particular matter that we have been looking at, if there is nothing there to proceed to a disciplinary hearing, then I'd be okay taking a vote to dismiss that as well. But if the majority of the board feels that they would rather go to wait for the second one and look at the totality of it, I'm fine with that as well.
Okay. Pat?
I guess I'll agree with Mark. I mean, I feel like there is nothing there as far as a disciplinary hearing for this one. But if we're going to keep going down this road and having 3-hour meetings every other week until we get the other one and then we start that process again, I would rather do it all at once.
Okay. Do you have any other thoughts?
No.
So should we vote on that, or should we just, is that
You want a
just?
motion to just extend this until the results of the MOU decision come out?
Sure, you could do that, just to formalize it, but that at this point, you're going to suspend this discussion and await the release of the second decision.
Virginia, would it make sense to first have a motion to dismiss this discussion and this discussion on this one and see how that vote turns out before we decide whether to combine them? I mean, I
Well,
think maybe we know.
I think the reason that we were going to want there were two reasons to extend. One was to look at the totality of the issue, and the second was that I thought that George and Ken felt they wanted more time. So I don't know that taking a vote on this one right now makes sense if Ken has come here and George has come here and said,
Okay.
I want more time.
Sure, okay.
So that's my thought.
So the wording should be, I want to make a motion to suspend this hearing and then continue it at such time that the
Well, this
results...
isn't a hearing.
Well, the meeting and until such time that the results of the MOU hearing are released.
Second?
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
He's removed, so
I
we'll
have-
have to do a roll call.
That's a roll.
Okay, I'll do a roll call then. Mark?
I
Pat?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Ken?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Okay, we'll take a roll call. Mark? Pat?
Aye.
Ken?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
And I vote aye. I looked at George and said Ken, sorry.
They look alike.